I used to believe betrayal was obvious. Loud arguments, court messages, clear evidence. I was wrong. The worst betrayal I ever experienced was quiet, intelligent, and almost invisible. It didn't explode. It unfolded. At first, nothing seemed wrong. We were close. Closer than ever, actually. She was attentive, supportive, affectionate. If anything, our relationship looked stronger from the outside. That's what made it so dangerous. The shift started with my friends. Small changes. Subtle ones. Conversations that ended when I entered the room. Group chats that felt colder. Plans that somehow happened without me. Whenever I mentioned it, she would gently reassure me. You're overthinking. They've just been stressed. You know I'm always on your side. That line felt comforting at the time. I didn't realize it was strategic positioning. Weeks passed. The distance grew. I began noticing strange reactions. One friend seemed hesitant around me. Another stopped sharing personal things. A third avoided eye contact during conversations that used to feel natural. But no one confronted me directly. It was like everyone knew something about me that I didn't. The turning point came one night at a small gathering. I walked into the kitchen to grab water and overheard two friends talking quietly. I didn't expect that from him. Yeah, she showed me. My chest tightened. Showed them what? I hadn't said anything. I walked back out calmly, but something inside me shifted. That wasn't coincidence. That was information being transferred. From me. Through her. To them. That night, I didn't confront her. I didn't accuse anyone. I did something far more important. I started observing. Patterns reveal truth better than emotions ever will. I replayed conversations in my head. Every time I vented to her, she would respond with empathy. She'd ask leading questions, encourage me to elaborate, push me to express frustration in detail. She never argued. She never escalated. She collected. And then I noticed something else. Whenever tension appeared between me and someone else, she was already aware of it before I told her. She'd say things like, I heard you were upset earlier. They felt weird about what you said. I heard you were upset earlier. They felt weird about what you said. But I hadn't told anyone except her. That's when it clicked. She wasn't spreading obvious lies. She was reshaping context. If I joked about someone being unreliable, she'd repeat it as concern. If I expressed frustration, she'd present it as resentment. If I doubted something for a second, she'd frame it as distrust. Small distortions. Just enough to shift perception. And perception is everything. The genius of it was that she never attacked me directly. She implied instability. She planted doubt. She let others reach conclusions on their own. She positioned herself as the messenger, the worried partner, the responsible one. I needed confirmation. So I designed a test. One evening, I told her something completely fabricated. I said I was secretly thinking about cutting off one of my closest friends because I couldn't trust him anymore. I made it emotional, personal, convincing. She listened carefully, nodded, agreed. She said, if that's how you feel, maybe you should distance yourself. 48 hours later, that same friend messaged me. Why are you telling people you don't trust me? There it was. No coincidence. No misunderstanding. Transmission confirmed. But this time, I had anticipated it. I had recorded our conversation. Not out of paranoia, but because something had felt calculated for weeks. I saved timestamps, backed up messages, documented every subtle shift. I waited a few more days, letting the pattern repeat once more to strengthen the case. It did. She couldn't resist. Then I arranged a quiet meeting. Not dramatic. Not public. Just a few key people who were closest to the situation. No accusations. Just evidence. I played the recording first. Her voice was calm, gentle, convincing, twisting my fake confession into something darker, suggesting I was unstable, implying I felt superior, framing me as emotionally unpredictable. Then I showed the timestamps, the sequence of conversations. How information traveled from me to her to others within hours. The room went silent. No shouting. No chaos. Just realization. You could see it in their expressions. The moment everything connected. She stayed composed at first. It's out of context. You're misunderstanding. I was just trying to protect everyone. That word again. Protect. But manipulation loses power once visible. It relies on ambiguity, on doubt. And now there was none. What hurt most wasn't that she tried to isolate me. It was how patiently she did it. She didn't explode in anger. She didn't act out of impulse. She engineered doubt over months. She slowly positioned herself as the only person I could rely on while quietly weakening every other bond in my life. That's not emotional betrayal. That's psychological strategy. After that night, everything shifted permanently. Some friends apologized immediately. Others needed time. A few never fully recovered from the confusion. Trust, once cracked, never returns to its original form. I later reflected on something important. She never intended to leave me. She wanted control. By isolating me socially, she would become my only source of validation, my only emotional anchor. If I doubted her, I'd have nowhere else to turn. That realization was heavier than the betrayal itself. Control disguised as love. Concern disguised as loyalty. Support disguised as strategy. The scariest part? It almost worked. If I hadn't overheard that single conversation in the kitchen, I might have continued losing people slowly, believing it was my fault. That's how silent manipulation operates. It doesn't destroy loudly. It erodes quietly. After everything surfaced, she tried reaching out privately. She said she panicked. She said she felt insecure. She said she didn't mean for it to go that far. Maybe that was partially true. But intention doesn't erase design. The pattern was too consistent, too precise, too repeated. You don't accidentally distort someone's words for months. You don't accidentally isolate someone step by step. That requires awareness, planning, choice. In the months that followed, I noticed something about myself. I became more observant, not paranoid, just attentive. I started recognizing micro-expressions, tone shifts, delayed responses, the subtle ways people test reactions before committing to statements. Betrayal teaches awareness, but it also changes you. You become slower to trust, more analytical, more measured in your words. And maybe that isn't entirely negative, because the biggest lesson I learned wasn't about her. It was about silence. Silence reveals patterns. Silence exposes inconsistencies. Silence gives manipulation space to reveal itself. If I had confronted her immediately with emotion, she would have reframed it, gaslit it, redirected it. Patience gave me clarity, and clarity gave me control back. Years later, I sometimes think about how close I came to losing everyone permanently. How easy it would have been to accept the narrative she was building about me. How fragile reputation truly is. It takes years to build trust. It takes subtle whispers to dismantle it. The loudest betrayals are obvious. They hurt, but they're simple. The quiet ones are different. They make you question your memory, your tone, your intentions. They make you doubt yourself before you doubt the person hurting you. That's the real damage, not the lies, the self-doubt. But once the truth surfaces, something shifts permanently. You stop ignoring small inconsistencies. You stop dismissing gut feelings. You start respecting patterns over promises. Because promises are easy. Patterns are honest. If there's one thing that night taught me, it's this. Pay attention to who benefits when you're isolated. Pay attention to who positions themselves as your only ally. And pay attention to repeated distortions, even small ones. Manipulation isn't loud. It's patient. And once exposed, it never looks the same again. I didn't lose my friends overnight. I almost lost them slowly. And the person trying to orchestrate it was the one telling me she loved me the most. That's what made it unforgettable. That's what made it real. And that's why I will never ignore quiet patterns again. Trust doesn't break in a second. It cracks in silence. Pay attention to patterns. They never lie. If you've ever experienced something like this, you're not crazy. You just noticed what others ignored. Have you ever had someone slowly turn people against you? Or was I the only one who didn't see it coming? Tell me what you think. I read everything. New story next week. Some betrayals are even worse than this one.